let's just talk about
you ain't got time
the absolute tip-top highlight of the weekend and the event and the convention for each one of us. Starting with Melissa, what was the greatest moment of this convention for you after you found parking?
Damn it. There goes mine.
Well, there is many highlights, but and aside from free chocolate, chocolate. I would say the highlight was seeing the joy on Nichelle's face on the dance floor. That will be one of my favorite memories, and that will last for as long as I last, So, it was such a beautiful moment. So that was my favorite.
What do you think, Rico? Do you have a favorite moment throughout the entire weekend?
Well, I would say having the opportunity to speak to Nichelle. Part of when we announced the winners of the Uhura costume contest, Sky and I walked them over to the room where Nichelle was taking pictures. And it was the room that had the bridge of the Enterprise, the original series Enterprise. And so they took the pictures, got a chance to meet her and talked with her for a second. And then I wanted a picture too. So I
that doesn't sound like you at all.
Yeah, I know. Me get in front of a camera. So I ended up getting a picture, and they were setting it up and everything. And of course, I had the opportunity to say hello to Nichelle, and she looked at me and she said hi, and then she kind of turned her head away, and then she turned her head back, and she was like, "What's your name?
What are you still doing here?"
Yeah, I know. It's supposed to be 2 seconds in out. And I was like, "Rico," and she was like, "Oh, hi." And I was like, "It's great to see you again." And she turned her head again, and then she turned back and she was like, "What's your name again?" And I said, "Rico." And it was just a very sweet moment, and just have met Nichelle like all of us, many times over, but it's always good to just see her and just have that connection to her. So, and I have to, I know you only asked for one, but I do have to honorable mention what Melissa said. Seeing that joy in her was everything. So, yeah,
priceless.
That's cool. So Rico's top two goes my joy, Nichelle's joy too.
I didn't mean it like that.
No, but that's pretty awesome. Yeah.
You asked what his favorite moment of the weekend was, not Nichelle's favorite moment of the weekend.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you. See, I knew you had my back, buddy. Yeah. Here's to you, Scotty Baker.
Well, Scott, what about you? You had a pretty eventful weekend. What was your favorite moment?
I mean, definitely, I think anybody who was there, seeing her dancing on the dance floor, having fun, wouldn't say that was the best moment of the entire weekend. But for me, I'd say sort of like not a single moment, but because I was out there with the camera and I was doing like interviews with different people talking about what Uhura meant to them, what Nichelle Nichols meant to them, what that whole thing, and just getting those little bits from everybody and getting those moments, whether it was from fans, whether it was from other actors that had worked with her before, other people who were just there at the convention. I mean, I got a lot of great moments and people saying things like, I know Rico said representation matters and things like that, and just hearing those voices from people who were personally impacted by her life. I think that kind of stuff, you hear that stuff sort of in general, but to actually hear people saying it and saying like, I went into aerospace engineering because I saw Star Trek and I saw an African American character there, and I'm African American, and there was nowhere else on TV or in movies where I saw African Americans, and I said, "Oh, I can do that too," you know.
Yeah.
And me growing up white and in that bubble, I didn't have that experience, and so to be able to hear other people's experiences about that was really touching, and I think brought a lot of that whole weekend. I think that sort of sentiment was going around a lot, you know. So,
and so when people get to see videos of that, they will know that was you that got that footage. By the way, our good friend Mr. J.R. Poole says it's filmmaker Baker. That's you. I think. Larry, do you have a favorite moment or moment that stood out, something super memorable?
Yeah, I have like honorable mentions. I mean, seeing her, not only that smile and lighting up, but on and on and on and on and jumping up to dance. And I mean, she had her nephew there with her and Kyle with her there. And you'd see some of those videos, somebody's got her by the elbow. So it's not like but there's times she was. But it was all like in a safe way, but everybody could sit there and watch her enjoy that. But there was that. I enjoyed something that's like, I was sitting here thinking how you never get to do this with other celebrities, other actors, you know, but being up there and being able to kind of help support and, you know, moderate for all the best reasons, but then shut up and get out of the way when her family was enjoying it, because I know they were enjoying sharing it, and the fans were enjoying it that were there. And the fans that were enjoying it, hearing all this and hearing the real down to earth person here. And they're all eventually coming to grips with her advancing age too. It's like anybody you have in your family, you remember them when they're younger because you were younger, and when you were a kid and they were in their prime and would, you know, tell you to whatever, like her sister's talking. But, you know, they're on their own kind of process too. But hearing that, and then just seeing the people over and over and over again. A lot of fans I had not seen in ages. A lot of people, a lot of the older fandom, but then also you saw a lot of the cosplay going on. There were a lot of brand new fans there too. So whether they were there with some of the clubs and groups, or some people stumbled in from the Comic-Con and didn't even know we were there until they accidentally found out. So it's hard to top her seeing her dance, but I really enjoyed that. And also, even in the panels, some of the things I heard from people I knew, their Nichelle story or their Nichelle angle, you know, what Pat Tallman lived next door to her for a while when she was a kid.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah. See,
What? You didn't say that in the panel. What?
yeah.
Hey.
So I was like, oh, this is awesome. I was like, how are we going to stretch? Oh, good thing I got 4 people so we can stretch this panel and still make it interesting. And there was no problem. We spent the first 20 minutes just everybody telling their Nichelle story because they had one. So yeah, it was. The other thing I was going to say that we haven't mentioned all was what Sky and Linda had done ahead of time for May, you know, a year ago, was they invited fans to send in stories like a Nichelle moment, and they had one from an ambassador, one from retired Army lieutenant colonel, I think. But anyway, they had fan stories, and we were supposed to read one of those at the beginning of every panel. And sometimes it slipped. But in fact, one time I read a beginning and ending. But there was one just out of this, like ordinary, a woman who can't think of her name. But anyway, she was a volunteer at a con in Indianapolis. It wasn't Starbase Indy. It was like an Indiana Comic-Con. And she was working the line at a photo op, and it was Michelle's photo op. And it's one of the volunteers. It's awesome because it's like they serve the fans and they serve the celebrity, and they're totally like subservient to everything. They're just there trying to do their job. And she was so humble, and she was talking about how she was doing the line, and the line was getting down to the end, and she was marking the end of the line. It was Nichelle's line. And she got down to the end, and Nichelle looked at her and said, "Okay, are you the last one?" And she says, No, I'm the end of the line. And she was like, she kind of gave her a look, and then the last 2 or 3 or 4 of them went through. And then they were done. And she started to help her walk away. And she's like, "Get in here with me real fast." Nichelle says, "Get in here with me." She goes, "Oh, no, ma'am." And this she's saying, my manager's going to yell at me if I try to get fansy and take advantage of being, uber humble. And she's like, "Oh no, I can't. I'm just the line. I'm not supposed to." And she said, "Shut up, girl, and get over here." She was like, okay. And then she said the next day she was working the same line, and the next day Nichelle did the same thing. And she's like, "I shut up and got in there." But I mean, that's the kind of, so there were like a whole range of fans, yeah, they or somebody had gone into aerospace or into what, name the technical field, something, or science, because of Nichelle and all of Star Trek. And some of the people had really inspiring stories that were really getting on the level of, Whoopi's story and Mae Jemison's inspirational stories. So that was a really nice, and they were probably 2 years old by now because they'd all been sent, late 2019. But anyway, that was a nice little touch too that they did for the show.
Larry, and that's funny you mentioned that. Ryan, if I could just say this real quick, because I was given a letter to read also, and I'm glad to hear that you slipped a couple of times in because I forgot to read mine in the beginning. So while we were in the panel, I read it, and then I just kind of incorporated that into another topic of discussion. So, but it was a cool one by a woman named Nichelle, who was named after Nichelle, who got into, I can't remember, something because of Nichelle. It might have been science. I don't know, something. And then the kicker was she got a chance to meet Nichelle at this party. Yeah. And so it was a great, kind of a great full circle moment, because she always wanted to meet Nichelle, never had the opportunity, and she came to the party, and there were some beautiful stories.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome.
Which is another little part of the whole weekend, which made it awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Also, Larry, you mentioned Sky. Everybody at home, that's Sky Conway, Linda Zarukis as well, and Frank Zanka, and the whole team. They, it's a lot of work. I don't know if you heard, there's a pandemic out there somewhere, and this thing got delayed because of it 18 months, and they finally did it. They put it together. Scott, before you came, we were talking about how it was extremely COVID safe because of how far apart the tables were. They're really socially distanced. They took it seriously. I'll tell you my favorite moment. I mean, like, I really honestly can't think of anything beyond that party that night. I was not planning on sticking around. I wasn't even really planning on going. I just kind of wanted to poke my head in. But seeing how happy Nichelle was, and watching it click in her head, as it would for any one of us, looking around and seeing that all eyes are on her, and watching her kind of just be so happy to lock eyes with every single person, seeing that everybody's looking at her, everybody's pointing their camera, everybody's smiling at her, everybody's cheering for her. It must have been like such
and music's going.
And the Gary Graham's band is blasting great rockin' tunes. And just watching her look around and constantly having that realization of these are all people that love me and are all sending me off. And she knows what this means, and they know what this means. And it's like a farewell, it's a goodbye, it's a thank you. It's all wrapped up into one. And nobody was going to leave until after she left, because we don't want her to see people filing out. It was just nice for her to be like the center of the universe one more time. Everybody's focus and attention was on her, and she loved it, and we loved it. And you can't think of anybody that deserves it more. We should all be so lucky to go out surrounded by people that love us like that.
Yeah.
And now she can just go, like I said, watch Wheel of Fortune for the rest of her days. Whatever she wants to do, she's going to hang on to that moment, and it's a great moment for all of us.
Yeah.